Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program Midday Discourse on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi. Many thanks for joining on this edition of the program. Today, we'll be looking at economic growth and as well as looking at how we'll be tackling the security challenges that comprises, linger, that has been lingering for a very long time, and then that cushions some major challenges around the economic growth and the challenges it poses and how Nigeria can mitigate and overcome this challenge. Because coming from just backtracking, going back memory lane, though the lane is not so memorable, though we just still have to go back to get our facts right. For over a decade now, the Northeast have really suffered lots of insecurity challenges that have curbed a whole lot of growth and development within the region. Now it has escalated to other parts of the country. Now we can see banditry, we can see kidnapping, we can see unknown gunmen, and just now, even currently now, we are hearing that there are new terrorism group in the Northeast around Zamfara. So there has just been series of challenges going on within the security agencies, but still, analysts and individuals and also persons that have had interpersonal communications have also said that from the analysis and what the security agencies have been doing, that's the military, navy, police officers, NCDC, all of them, all of the security agencies have been doing their best, but Nigerians are more like Oliver Twist, who are asking for more. A lot of persons have said the security agencies are not doing nothing, but we just want to look at the issues and then the angle where security challenges has been one of the issues not helping Nigerian economy grow. We're going to be having this conversation and then looking at the current economic outlook of Nigeria, looking at what it was before now, and then looking at what it is now. Then we would be able to know if these agencies, the security agencies, are actually doing their bits, and with the current happenings in the area of infrastructure and economic growth, and as well as looking at the agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and all of his cabinets. In a way, for him to be able to achieve a sustainable economy for Nigeria, he made mention of the fact that he's going to revamp. So we've seen a lot of tax policies. We've seen him reshuffle his candidates. We've seen his cabinet rather. We've seen him bring in people from different walks of life and then even from opposition parties to help Nigeria grow. So looking at those angles now, Nigerians still say they want more and things are not being done properly. But I'll be going on a very, very quick break, and then when I return back, I'll be introducing my guest who would help us understand most of these issues going around within the security agency. He is a public affairs analyst and as well as also I'll tell you that when we return back, to stay with us. Yes, many thanks for staying with us. Now, before I introduce my guest, let me just bring you up to date with the major factors that helps with Nigerian economic growth. And obviously, the factors include insecurity that has been hindering. So insecurity can hinder economic growth by reducing investment, increasing unemployment, as well as also decreasing government revenue. Insecurity can also disrupt the supply chain of meat, dairy products, and also discourage domestic and foreign investment as one. We also have macroeconomic reforms. Reforms can also help improve Nigeria's international competitiveness, increase the attractiveness of the country to investors, and reduce debt-related fiscal risks. Structural reforms can help Nigeria address constraints to growth, such as reducing trade barriers, improving trade facilitation, and increasing access to reliable power supply. Then the military strength. Now these are the angles we'll be measuring on a security expert, has once said that Nigeria's military strength is crucial for economic growth. So the security plays a massive role in terms of economic growth and development. So those are the angles we'll be looking at mostly. But now let me bring you up to speed again. Here are some recent updates of Nigerian economic growth and security. Then looking at it, the GDP in the first quarter of 2024, Nigeria's GDP grew by 2.98% year on year, which is higher than 2.31% recorded in the first quarter of 2023. So the trajectory continues like that. The second quarter we witnessed another growth, and then at so on and so forth. Though on this note, on the issue of GDP, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says that he is looking to improve Nigeria's GDP to about 3.76% on an annual base. So we are going to look at the angles of stakeholders, the bodies in charge that would be able to help facilitate this, because Mr. President sitting in Aso Rock alone wouldn't just automatically make the GDP grow. So looking at those, there's another issue that has been pressed in, which is going to be the issue of inflation. Our current inflationary measures is around 33.88%, which is of a very, very big concern. And it has been said by a whole lot of public affairs analysts that the key drivers of Nigerian inflation is the high cost of living, which is something we would also be talking about. So the World Bank projects that the headlining inflation will peak at an advantage annual rate of 31.7% in 2024, but will fall to 14.3% by 2027. So that's on the lighter note. So in the next 3 years, we're expecting our inflation to drop to this level. But now we've seen that the inflation has actually skyrocketed higher than what the World Bank projected. So it still boils down to the fact that stakeholders, security agencies need to come together for all of this to be actualized. Still on talking about the economic growth and the outlook, the African Development Bank Group projects that economic growth will increase to 3.2% in 2024 and 3.4% in 2025. But the president himself said he's looking for the economy to grow at 3.76%, but this projection is saying 3.2%. So with all the inflation and a whole lot going on, how can we be able to achieve all of these feats? So I have someone who will help us understand most of these talking points, and his name is Mr. James Ezema, who is the National Coordinator of Not Too Young to Perform. He's also an author, a seasoned journalist, and also a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the program.
Thank you very much.
So it's no longer news that we're having hunger, poverty, all of that in the land, right? Yeah. So how key is it going to be for security agencies to, tighten their buckle, despite the fact that they are doing the best that they can? How key is it going to be for them to be able to do more so as we can, mitigate out of these struggles that we are facing within the Northeast and other parts that have been affected?
Yeah, thank you very much. It is very, very important that our security agencies do more than just what is normal, to be able to overcome the current issues that surround our security situation in the country. Because as a matter of fact, the economy is impacted negatively once there is insecurity, as you rightly said. You will see that investment, especially foreign direct investment, that is always in high demand, is what will suffer mostly. Domestic businesses will also suffer because transportation of goods around the country will become a big issue if there is insecurity. And insecurity also it also leads to job losses, because when businesses are destroyed because of insecurity, you discover that some people will eventually lose their job and lose their businesses. And if someone loses his business, you know that the person has moved from one level of dependency to another, because when you were just trying to start up a business, you could be dependent on somebody to help you for the startups. Yes. But by the time you have started a business, and due to the security situation area where you are operating, the business goes under, you have to now move to another level of dependency where people will have to now fend for you to even survive. So, and is that bad? That's how bad security issue is, and that's why it should be taken very seriously. And I think we are getting to a point that we can always look at ourselves in the face and say, this is actually what is the situation, and this is what we should do.
Okay, before let's look at that. That's on a lighter note, but let's look at something else. The historical and structural that factors, and then that also contributes to ethnic and then communal conflicts, because this is also can be one of the challenge why investors can go to a certain location. So most recently we witnessed, even in the Borno State, there was a few land disputes that happened around the Ohanivo constituency, where communities were having a clash over land.
Yeah.
So there is no right-thinking investor that would want to, go there and, invest when issues like that are happening, right? So looking at those issues now, security, they say, starts with us, right? When you see something, you say something.
Exactly.
There's a slogan like that somewhere. Yeah. But at this point now, how key is it going to be for the communities now to not go on loggerheads with each other, so as to have a safe and secure environment, so as it will attract foreign investors?
First of all, we have to also know that security, as they say, is everybody's business. Security is everybody's business in the sense that the security agencies, they are not spirits to know what is happening all around us. So sometimes they depend on us for information, they depend on us to raise the alarm, they depend on us who live within communities to be able to know exactly what is happening within our community, because the number of security personnel in the country and world over, is not something that you can say they can police maybe an entire community. You may not even have a police station, as the case may be. So that is what we are looking at, that security should be everybody's business. We should not be left alone for the government to tackle, because if you see something, and as you said, and you did not say something, you will discover that you will be one of the losers at the end of the day. And in doing that, the security agencies will also have to build confidence, so that in such a manner that people can freely volunteer information. Because one of the major challenges that most people have in volunteering information is that most times when they volunteer information, those people who were probably pointed at will come back hunting them, because the information that you have given has leaked one way or the other. And that is what we should be making sure that we don't have that kind of issue, because at the end of the day, our economy will suffer, our society will suffer, and that's when we will now talk about this issue of hunger and the rest of the high cost of living, because when goods are few, the law of demand and supply will be in such a way that you have to, in fact, look for more money to buy the few goods that's available. And that is partly what we are seeing in Nigeria, because over time there have been insecurity, and the production in terms of agriculture and other productive ventures are suffering because of this in very many states. When we were in the university, there was a course that they were doing, an elective course, even though it was from the department, but they call it insurgency and counter-insurgency. It was an elective course because it was new at the time. So I know that by now they would have made it a compulsory course for political scientists at the University of Ibadan. So, but what happened? Well, I just chose that course out of curiosity. I just said, okay, since it's an elective course and it's my departmental course, let me just pick it. And when we were studying it, it was like fun, because we didn't even understand the impact, because we didn't at the point, because we didn't really know that these things will come calling around us, and we'll be witnessing them in real life. So that is the reason why some of the issues that we have today around these security challenges is they are such that they are so complex and very difficult to deal with, because somebody you are sitting with could be a security threat, but you may not even know. Or he will come with you, eat with you, and later he will be the ones to lead kidnappers to come and kidnap you, or to come lead insurgents to come and invade your community and things like that.
Yeah,
that is just the issue.
Okay, looking at these angles now, right? And then you made mention of what you studied in school, but that's on the But looking at these angles now, talking about insecurity now, like I rightly mentioned earlier, it starts within the community and the communal disputes before it now grows to something else.
Yes.
So how key is it going to be that when things like this spike up, because we've witnessed one between Cross River and Ebonyi State, we've witnessed between the headsmen and the Benue people, and then we've witnessed series of it, then most of the time it now graduates to killing and all. How key is it going to be for traditional rulers, religious leaders, and the government to settle all of these disputes way before it escalates to a level that it grows into something else, and people start losing lives on a daily basis?
It is very, very important that some of these issues are prevented, because it is cheaper to prevent than to cure. It is something that the government and the agencies of government responsible for some of these issues should be able to deal with them, and also look at how they can create proactive measures to ensure that some of these things they don't snowball into a full-blown communal war or crisis between certain interests and certain ethnic groups. So it is something that we have been advocating over time, that the government should be more proactive, find a way of building a good relationship, especially the security agencies, build a good relationship with communities and the people, so that there will be this trust, so that they can be able to give information, so for certain crises to be prevented, before they blow up into something that will lead to loss of lives and property. And one of the major reasons why some of these things eventually come to a crisis level is because most times this mistrust. Sometimes also you will see communities accusing security agencies of protecting one part of that is in the crisis, and the other against the other, and things like that.
But what do you think facilitates this mistrust that happens between these communal individuals?
It is when the security agencies are now ready to do their work. You see, once the security agencies are ready to do their work, and then people see them doing it impartially, because when there is an element of bias in actions taken by security agencies, you see that at the end of the day, it will be the thing that people will be looking at and say, I may not be treated fairly if I report this matter or I report this case. And so sometimes certain influential people too within communities try as much as possible to influence the security agencies, to favor their own people's interest. And these are the things that we should be able to see how we are going to deal with them, and make sure that security agencies are doing their job without fear or favor, irrespective of whose ox is God. And that is the only way we can be able to build that trust that is urgently needed for us to overcome these insurgent situations, and then overcome insecurity generally as we see them around the country, because it's not only in the northeast. Insecurity is everywhere in Nigeria. We see things happen in different parts of the country, and we should be able to deal with them before they escalate.
But talking about trust now, there have been a series of times that people, the general public now, have come out to say that they heard something, they went to the police station to report it, and then at the end of the day, they get detained because of the fact that they brought those information. Then the police officers and the stations will be like, they need to get more information from someone reporting an incident that's happening. How can the security agencies now, turn this around and just get the information and let the person go? Because with that now, going to give information and being held at the police station, obviously when you live there, you would see something and then you would decide not to say something.
Exactly.
So how can the police or security agencies now, work around this so as not to make an informant look like a criminal?
Yeah, it is by you have to there should be a way to police the police, because that is how I see it. If we are not able, the police authorities should be able to police the police in such a manner that there should be a special team, like will be kind of making routine checks. Some people that are detained in police stations, you see them, probably they were just passing by at a particular place, and you see them, they just come and raid them and take them to the police station. So I have seen a case where people were arrested for offense. They said that the person is moving around at a late hour. I don't know how the law that says that somebody cannot move around at any particular hour. So long as you are not constituting a security threat, so long that you are not armed, so long that you are not doing anything that will breach the public peace, I don't think you should be arrested just merely because the security agencies thought that you are moving at a wrong hour. And those are the kind of people you will now find in the police station. At the end of the day, that kind of person tomorrow will see something, he will be so afraid to even approach the police station to tell them this is what is happening in my community. So we have to find a way to deal with such kind of issues.
Well, looking at that angle now that you just mentioned about people moving around and getting arraigned at the later, I think most of the times, in fairness to the Nigerian police and security agencies, I think in fairness to all of them, I think that happens mostly when there is curfew in the time. Probably nobody is meant to be outside, let's say past midnight.
No, curfew. Curfew is a legal imposition.
Yes.
Imposition. So I'm not talking about curfew. I'm talking about a normal, everyday activity. When people are going about their everyday activity, when there's no issue, there's no trouble. I've seen that a lot. I've seen that kind of issue. They just come and raid some people and say they are moving around in the night, that kind of thing. So I've seen it happen not once, not twice.
Okay, let's look at this other angle now. How do security challenge now? Obviously insecurity is one of a major challenge that helps any economy grow. So looking at Russia and Ukraine and the Middle East, with everything going on, bombing and all of that, nobody is talking about
investment. No one can talk about investment in that kind of environment.
Regions. No.
Yes. So the only investment that one can be discussing in that kind of law is how to supply weapons to either of the parties.
So to the we've not gotten to that stage, and we're not going to ever get to that stage, right? Because we wouldn't even sit down and be having this conversation.
Exactly.
So how key is it going to be that security challenge impact Nigeria's economic growth and development?
You see, the truth of it is this: since we have come to from the transition from the last administration to this administration, we have seen a gradual reduction in insecurity. Just to refer to the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yes, we have actually seen a reduction in insecurity. Yes, it's not what we expect, but at least in the last 1.5 years, we have seen a situation whereby insecurity is no more the way it used to be, and we need to see the administration doing more in terms of dealing with some of this insecurity, because if not, all the sloganeering and all the campaign and all the international visits and all those things that they do in order to draw foreign investors will not work. And then even when we talk about our economic growth, it will just be a slogan, because if insecurity is not tackled very head on, we will end up at the point where we will see that even the local businesses which we have will not be able to
Then
even having any
not blame it on the monetary policy.
no, no, beyond the monetary policy, insecurity, in fact, no matter how good your monetary policy is, and there is insecurity, you will make a mess of whatever good policy that you have in place. So insecurity is a destabilizing factor that once it is, you are not able to control the issue, you end up losing at the end of the day as a nation.
Okay, let's look at this other angle now. You know, it's like we're talking about security now. It's not a one-man thing. It's not just a job of Mr. President to handle. It's not just a job of the Minister of Defense to handle. So now let's look at initiative and collaboration for stakeholders and support. How key can this individuals, these organizations, private organizations, play in terms of ensuring that security is of the paramount and is being actually upheld and taken very, very seriously?
Yeah, the issue is that within this period, I can say that we are seeing a better collaboration between organizations and some security agencies, especially when it comes to the issue of this insecurity that we are having in some parts of the north. You see, some people are actually taking up advocacy, trying to look at the issues the way they are, and try to see how they can collaborate with the security agencies. And I think we will get there if the civil society and some community-based organizations could come together and help to push a kind of a relationship between them and the local communities, the security agencies, so that within their local communities they will be able to have peace. Because you see, this insecurity is not something that you can actually look at and say that it is the job of Mr. President, it is the job of this agency or that agency, and that is why it requires the cooperation of all of us as citizens to be able to deal with them. Because the security agencies, like I said, they don't constitute spirits to know everything that's happening around us. It's also left for us to play our role as citizens to ensure that their efforts are collaborated. And we also, on the other side, like I said, we also have to get the security agencies to win our trust, so that we can be able to actually feel free to come to them and say, look, this is what is happening and this is what we want to be done. And it should be fair to every party that is involved in a conflict, because once you start siding one party against the other, at the end of the day you widen the mistrust that is already there in the country. So we don't need to have a situation whereby the security agencies will continue to stand as a judge in their own case, so to say, by trying to become a party in a conflict. No, they shouldn't be a party in a conflict. They should be the ones that will come to find a way to end whatever conflict that is ongoing, not to join one of the parties to fight insecurity. So to fight in the crisis. So the thing there is that we have seen over this period, at least some of these clashes are reducing. They are no longer like it used to be in before. And probably on a lighter note, probably the hunger in the land is also affecting some people.
This conversation will continue immediately after this break, as we tend to dive into regional and also international collaboration, so as to see how to tackle the major issues surrounding insecurity in Nigeria. Please do stay with us. We'll be right back. Yes, many thanks for staying with us, and you didn't miss so much. So we're looking at the second half of our conversation for today. I have with me Mr. Izima James, who is the national coordinator of Not Too Young to Perform. So let's look at regional and international corporations now. Before the international communities come into play, obviously Nigerians have been doing a whole lot to help cushion them before we've witnessed the United Nations coming to help in terms of this. So what more can be done for Nigerians to get more and more support from international communities to help tackle, despite the fact that you likely mentioned that since this administration we've witnessed a little bit lesser than what we used to see before in terms of insurgencies?
Yeah. When we look at the international dimension of insecurity, it is very, very important that we cooperate with our neighbors and our other countries that are around us, and also liaise with international communities to see how we can be able to deal with insurgency. Yesterday, we saw in the news how the former governor of Zamfara State and the Minister of State for Defense was in Saudi Arabia to see how they can talk about the issue of collaborating to deal with the issue of security here in Nigeria, and that is the thing that we are talking about. You know, this new ministers, at least in the Ministry of Defense, we see them moving around and trying to reach out to people and reach out to international communities and regional bodies to see how they can be able to tackle insurgency, and that is one of the things that we are talking about. You know, sometimes most times people insurgency and terrorism, they are not the same. You know, insurgency has to do with when some of these organizations or non-state actors take up territories within a state, and they are operating within there. And then when we talk of terrorism, we are just talking about people who come to instill fear on people and then cause chaos in the society. No man, they don't actually, in the real sense, occupy territories. But where we have major challenge is when some of these people come and occupy territory, take up local government, host their flags, and start making. And most times you discover that these people get international support, and that's why the government in itself and the agencies of government should look at getting more and more collaboration with international bodies, especially international security organizations, to be able to deal with some of these issues, because the international dimension of insecurity is something that should not be taken very lightly. We saw during the election in the United States where some countries were being accused of sponsoring the failed assassination of Donald Trump at the time, and so that's tells you how insecurity is. Insecurity is not something that is just local. There are always an international dimension, and we have also seen that some people have moved from different countries to come to Nigeria. We have had when security agencies who raised alarm that there was a movement, there was this kind of cross-border operation of some insurgent groups and some terrorists. So, and that is that's one of the things that also the government should also look at, because you see some people kidnapped in Nigeria, you find them in some places around Niger or Cameroon. Somebody kidnap somebody in one state, and then you find the person they're in a different country or in a different state, and that is what we are talking about when we talk about cross-border crimes and the international dimension of terrorism. So it is something that we should always take very seriously, and the government should also look at how they can do more in terms of collaboration with some of the regional bodies and the international organization to be able to deal with some of these issues.
Well, how can the government now and these agencies, like you rightly mentioned, the former governor who is now the Minister of State, Badaru, went on a trip.
Yes.
This is pointing towards a right direction. But now the security agencies themselves, that's in terms of border patrol, as you mentioned, how is it going to be key that we can't have this conversation without talking about the innovations of technology, right? Because now security has gone way beyond of the fact that you see something, say something. With technology, a threat can just get into a place, and then an alarm or something will be rang for people to be notified that something, or the security agency should be notified that something is going wrong. How key is it going to be for the security agencies, mostly those within the borders, because most of these challenges now is happening in states that are very close
to the borders? Yes.
So how key is it going to be now for these security operatives now should get themselves more familiar and more involved with using international best practices and using the advent of technology to help cushion or cover totally the current insecurity challenges that's going on, or a certain way for them to be alarmed when they are insurgents like trying to cross into the country?
Yeah. One good thing about the current administration too is, some of us will hardly be talking about what the government of the day is doing most of the time, because when you look at what the government is doing and they are not doing enough, you hardly find how we are going to talk about it. But to be fair to the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, within this period we are seeing how the military is being equipped the more. I think the other day we saw how the Minister of Defense himself went to go and flag off the inspect and flag off the air operation of the Nigerian Air Force, and you see that actually he was commending the Nigerian Air Force for their what they have been able to do, and then charging them to do more to end this insurgency. And we are now seeing action from the defense ministry trying to deal with some of this issue that we are looking at. And I think if this momentum is sustained, I believe that we will end up having a better and more secure communities that so that our farmers can actually return to their farms. Yes, some of them are going back to farms, but it's not yet to Huru.
Okay, we can't be having this conversation about securities and then not talk about the operatives themselves, those men and women on the field. We sincerely appreciate you all for the work that you're doing. Nigerians are saying thank you, but still, how well do you think they are being appreciated by the minister and the government? Because if these people get appreciated, those in the front line, don't you think they will do more?
Yeah, in the recent time, this issue of welfare is not as it used to be. You remember during the past administration, you see soldiers doing one video or the other, telling you no water, no food, see what they are giving us in this location, and we are fighting here, we have been in the bush, and they are not taking care of us. I think we are now seeing a better welfare, because such complaints are actually reducing. Because before now, we used to see people that we see that some security agencies are being arrested as being secretly tried here and there for voicing out some of their concerns as regard to their welfare. And I think I remember one of my schoolmates that was in one of the front lines. One of the days he had to raise an alarm that I need something, I need to go to see my family, but they have not paid us, that kind of thing. But all those kind of things has not happened in recent time. I've not seen it happen in the last probably in the last 1 year. And things, I think that should be something that we should look at and see how we can better the welfare of these people, because these are people who are sacrificing everything for us. While we are asleep, they are awake. While in our houses, they are there, or maybe we are in our shops or business places or offices. They are right there in the bush, trying to secure the communities and secure our lives. So we should be able to give them the best that we can, so that they will not so that their morale will be boosted, and they will know that look, we have a country that cares about us.
Talking about morale boosters now, do you think security operatives should be paid the new minimum wage, or they should be paid higher than the minimum wage?
I think security operatives should be paid higher than minimum wage. I don't see the reason why somebody who laid down his life for others should not be paid more than a everyday normal person that goes to the office. Security I sit under the AC while the person is inside the rain and the sunshine, and then under the harmattan weather and that kind of weather that deal with them out there. So I think the security agencies should be paid beyond the minimum. If there's no amount that you can pay a security agent who laid down his life to fight for the unity or for the sustenance of peace and democracy in any country, that you can say that amount is too much. No, it's not. There's no amount that you give them that is too much.
Since time now is deciding not to be our friend anymore, what do you think now is the measures that the country needs to focus more on in terms of how to tackle the insecurity? That's looking at the Minister of State now, and then the Minister of Defense.
I think they are doing what they are supposed to be doing right now, because we have seen them move from place to place. The other time we saw that the Minister of State Minister of State for Defense actually moved to the northeast in person. Yes. He went there and he spent some time with the troops, trying to boost their morale, trying to look at the operational environment, and these are the things you do to witness firsthand what is happening. Also, the Minister of Defense himself was in Plateau State, to visit some of the communities, visit some of the troops that are there. These are the kind of things we want to see, where people will now go out. The people who are in office will leave their comfort of their offices to go to the front, and go to the front, and they look at what is happening, take their notes, come back home, and know how to strategize and how to be able to deal with. I think that is the reason why some of this issue of who and cry about welfare is reducing, because I don't think when you go witness firsthand what is happening at the front, you will come back home and say you will not do anything to better the welfare of these people who are fighting on behalf of the country. So it is. I think they are doing what they are supposed to be doing as at this moment.
So what's your final take as we wrap up in 3 minutes? What's your final take on the current situation, and how do we move past what we are facing now to help Nigerian economy grow?
I think what the security agencies will need to do is just about two major things. Because we are seeing equipment coming, we are seeing things, deployment of technology and things like that. But the two things that we need to do is to improve on the trust between communities and security agencies. This is very, very important if we should win war against insecurity. And secondly, there should be a better interagency cooperation. Interagency will not help anything. There is no part of, none of the agencies can win alone. It's just like it's just like the community, and then you decide to play football alone and become your own team. You will not be able to win. So I think it's better for the government to now find a way to improve the interagency cooperation. And I can say that from what we have read in the papers, we are seeing that this thing is being improved upon, and then we saw when there was problem with the electricity in this part of in some northern parts. You saw that the office of the National Security Advisor coordinated security operations that led to the repair of some of those things. So these are the kind of things, that the kind of gains that we will see if there is a more collaboration between these agencies, so that we will be the one that will smile at the end of the day.
so that will be the one that will smile at the end of the day. Thank you so much, Mr. James Ezema, for joining us on today's edition of Midday Discourse. And that's how much time will permit us to take. But inter-agency collaboration is very key in terms of helping address security challenges that we have in Nigeria, and it's also going to yield to more investment platform avenues, and then it's also going to open rooms. It's going to open doors for foreign investors to come and invest in Nigeria and help Nigerian economy grow. I really appreciate, all of us from Global Television and the entire production team appreciate the security agencies for the works that they've been doing thus far. And I want to say a very big thank you for the cameraman, the production team, and the lady in the MCR. Thank you so much for making today's production seamless. My name is Samuel Odi. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.